Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning if you're in the United States. My name's Liz Wilson, and thank you for joining us today when Tamsin Fox Davies from Constant Contact is going to show us 5 ways to cut through the noise and get your customers' attention. So just before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping. On the right-hand side of your screen, you're going to find a little questions panel, and you can type questions into there. Please feel free to do so. We will be answering them periodically throughout the presentation. We may cover some of the answers in the presentation, so if we find that we have, we probably won't revisit them. And at the end, we'll basically do a quick roundup and make sure we've caught everybody's questions. So can everybody hear us okay? If you could just write in yes into that questions box as a starting point, that would be enormously helpful. Yes, fantastic, great, thank you so much. Okay, so just to introduce Tamsin, she's going to introduce herself, but she's a small business evangelist with Constant Contact, and there really isn't anything Tamsin doesn't know about email marketing. So you're in wonderful hands today. I'm going to be contributing a little bit, but not nearly as much as Tamsin. And over to you, Tamsin, to get started.
Thank you. It's my absolute pleasure to be part of this customer focus webinar. The last one we did was great fun too, so yeah, I'm hoping that people will really get a lot out of this. And as Liz said, please do post your questions in the questions box. I will be pausing so that we can get a hold of some of those and make sure that we answer them for you. So just a little bit of information about me. If you'd like to connect with me, probably one of the best places to do that is on Twitter. I'm at TamsinFD. And to explain my role at Constant Contact, my job is really to work with small and medium-sized businesses, probably exactly like you, and share with them a lot of the best practice knowledge that we have and try and help you to do your marketing more easily, more effectively, make more money out of it, all of that good stuff. And I used to be a small business owner myself, and I ran a marketing company. So I do understand a bit about the industry. I know exactly where you're coming from, and I'm more than happy to help. And if you do have any questions, by the way, that I'm not able to answer, I will be the first person to say I don't know, but I will find the answer out for you. So do make sure that you're asking questions as we go through. Don't just be deliberately trying to stump me though, because that would be mean. If you haven't heard of Constant Contact before, we are originally a US-based company. We now have offices in the UK as well, and we serve over 650,000 small businesses worldwide with our all-in-one marketing software. It's software as a service, so it's a service that you just log on to and you use online. It starts at $20 a month or £15 a month, depending on where you are. And with Constant Contact, what happens is you keep all of your contacts with us in one place, and you're able to do all sorts of things with them. So you can be sending out newsletters, you can be running events and taking money for tickets, you could be doing surveys, or you could even be doing things like running Facebook promotions or what we call our smart offers, our trackable coupons, where you can make offers and actually have individual tracking codes that go with them. So that's all I'm going to say about our product right now. I'm happy to answer more specific questions on it later. But we wanted to talk a little bit as well about how customer focus and Constant Contact work together. And Liz, do you want to take this bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know there's a lot of people on this call who aren't customer focused users and may well not be Constant Contact users too. So I won't take a long time to explain this, but basically Constant Contact and Customer Focus now have an integration whereby obviously Customer Focus, for the uninitiated, is a business management program where you process your quotes, your presentations, your orders, and then your invoices. And that's giving you a huge amount of information about your customers, what they buy, when they buy, what they inquire about. And you may be collecting other information about them, such as their industry that they're in, the size of their company, the location of their company. And all of this, as Tamsin is going to show you shortly, is absolutely gold dust when it comes to sending emails that are really relevant to your customers. So what Customer Focus now offers is an integration with Constant Contact that basically allows you to transfer that information from Constant Contact from Customer Focus into the Constant Contact program. So you'll be able to create lists based on shared criteria such as everybody who's in the Eastern Seaboard who likes to buy rainwear in April. um, and that's the sort of information that you can be transferring to Constant Contact completely seamlessly without having to basically maintain two different databases. So the information, all that useful information you're learning about your customers through their order history and everything else is you're able to create lists and move it to Constant Contact. And Tamsin's going to talk about the importance of that as we go through. So hopefully that all makes sense.
I think it's a great explanation, and yeah. So what we'll be talking about very much is, and if you're not using either Customer Focus or Constant Contact, you can still do everything that I'm going to be sharing with you. It's just much easier if you're using systems that work together and that will really help you along. So that's the key here. You know, this isn't a here's what the inside of these systems look like. This session is about best practice, about the techniques and the strategies that you need to be using. So we talked about cutting through the noise. That was in the headline for this session. And the question there is really, what noise in terms of email? Because emails are surely silent. Well, they are silent unless you have that little ping that tells you when you've got a new message coming in. But even if you don't, think of noise as a metaphor. The emails that you see filling up the screen right now, that's a little bit like most of your inboxes every day. It's definitely like mine, and it's like your customers as well. They will have constant streams of messages coming into them, and you have to make sure that your messages are going to be the ones that they pay more attention to, that they listen to, that they open, and that they act on. So that is what we're specifically talking about. And if you want to do that, you have to take a complete kind of change of focus in terms of how you address your marketing, because it's not about you, it's about your because they're the ones that are experiencing that noise. They're the ones that are going to choose how to filter it. So if you can focus on what they want and what they're taking kind of visual slices through that data. And there's three different ways that I want you to think about how you can do that. The first one is in terms of topic. This thing, or would they rather hear about that thing? And then what you'd do is you'd send, based on that information, you'd send messages only to the people that want to hear about that specific thing. The other people, you'd send them something different that's more relevant to them at another time. The second thing, the second way that we want to talk about segmenting data is by status. And the question there is really, are they ready to buy? Now, there is no point, if someone has just bought a couple of thousand mouse mats from you, sending them mouse mat offers the very next day, or even a week later, or even a month later, unless you know that they buy 1,000 mouse mats every month. Okay, so this is about understanding your customer buying cycle, and there might be one that is common to all of your customers, and they all buy roughly, you know, every 2 or 3 months or every year. Or it might be that you have some people who are coming back to you every single week, and then some people that you don't hear from for 2 years at a time. You need to know that so you can tailor the messages that you're sending to them, or at least make sure the messages that you're sending to them are appropriate at the time. And then the third thing I want you to think about is habits. So what do they respond to? Although I'm going to give you some great rules for creating emails that will get people's attention, getting their attention is not enough. You need to get them to take action, and different people like different things. So for example, you might have a customer who much prefers to come to your open days or visit your office and actually see your products and find out, you know, in very much first person what it's all about, and loves to sit down and have a coffee with you and discuss things that way. Or you will have another one who is really happy to get your online catalogue and will make all of their orders that way, and you never even speak to them. They deal with everything by email. Knowing those things allows you to tailor the information that you send to them. So how do you do that, and what does it look like? I've got a couple of examples for you. So first of all, topics. This is actually an example from a customer of ours who are a clothing retailer. And what you'll see here on their mailing list sign-up box, they ask for an email address, and then they allow people to choose which email lists that person wants to be part of. Now, they haven't separated these things out into, t-shirts or dresses or, rainwear, like the example that Liz used. They've not thought about their topics in that way. They've grouped things together in terms of the types of information that people want to receive. So their first option is, I want to receive all the news and deals, i.e. they'll get everything. And then they've separated it out into in-store sales and promotions, online sales and promotions, or new products online and in-store. Because what they clearly understand is that they will have customers who aren't bothered about sales and promotions. They just want to know about the hottest new designs that come in. And then they'll have other people that are really interested in the offers, and they've split those out into in-store and online. So you want to think about what are the topics that you could slice your content on, and what's the right terminology to use to get people to join that list and to proactively say, I'm really interested in this. The second thing is status. So this is a view into the top of the constant contact contacts screen. So I've got Minal on there. She's actually one of my colleagues here at Constant Contact, and she is the person in our organisation who's responsible for buying most of our promotional products, coincidentally. She loves coming to the Customer Focus show and actually having a route round and meeting all the different suppliers and finding out what's hot and what's new. Now, what we've done with her contact is we have tagged them within the Constant Contact system with her order date. So we can see that she's ordered in January 2014 and then ordered again in May 2015. So we can see that she's got, a kind of a 9 months to a year buying cycle. So you wouldn't be sending her the same information on the same rate of emailing as you would somebody that buys every single month without fail. You want to treat those customers differently because they're still valuable to you, but if you bombard them with the stuff that they don't want to receive at that particular time, then they're more likely to unsubscribe, and then you've lost the chance to sell to them again. However, what you could do is, instead of sending her sales emails, you could send her, interesting tips type emails, and those she would probably be happy to receive in between time. So then the third thing is habits. And I mentioned earlier, you might have some people who prefer to meet you at events and will always turn up when you do a trade show and all of that kind of stuff, and you'll have some people that just want to operate online. Within the Constant Contact system, you get a really good idea about that. And I think when you match up the information that you get through Customer Focus, where you can actually see people's exact buying habits with what their engagement behavior is, then that's really going to help you. So the way that this works within Constant Contact is you can see which campaigns you've sent to a specific person, and then which ones they've opened and which ones they've clicked on or which ones they've booked for. So you can tell by looking at that one person's engagement history what their habits really are, and then you could tag them or you could add them to a list that relates to those habits. And again, that means that you can send them much more targeted messages. So this is all about the content of the messages that you're sending. But what are the 5 ways that you can make sure that that content sticks out? Well, number 1, cut down to the essentials. This is really important. We have a natural tendency to try and offer everything up on a plate in one go, like an all-you-can-eat buffet. Well, that doesn't work with email marketing. You're much better off actually sending a very simple email like this to one that has multiple options for calls to action and things to buy. The key is that if you've got someone who, especially now that everybody's reading email on their mobiles, and I cannot express how important this is to get a grip of. Everybody's reading on their mobile phone, so they have less time. They're probably doing it while they're walking down the street or while they're drinking a coffee, and you have to make it really, really easy for people to see what you have to offer or what you want to share with them. So instead of having lots of different products, these people, they do bikes, they've just gone with store-wide summer sale, nice big banner, they've got the date info underneath, and they've got a nice big click-through link, and that's it. So think about how you can pare down your messages just to get to the essentials. So that's my number one first tip. My second tip is to employ great imagery. And when you're selling products, imagery is so important, but it's not just necessarily images of the products, and I'll explain what I mean by that. This is an example that's actually from a charity customer of ours, but the reason that I picked it to show you was because this image is so evocative. They are really trying to get people to connect with the emotion and to connect with the understanding of the plight that gorillas are going through, and to feel like that is somebody that they really want to help. That there's, that's just a furry person kind of thing, right? That's the sort of the connection that they're trying to make there. And as the saying goes, a picture tells 1,000 words. It really, really does work. Now imagine if you took that picture out and you have a picture of a mug there. A picture of a mug is not going to create the same emotional response with people as a picture of a face. So what I want you to think about is how you can actually go beyond using the kind of the stock supplier photography, and to create your own photography, or to get some photography created for you that uses people or animals. We love to see human faces. We love to see people smiling. That is something that we have been evolved to respond to. And, animals have evolved, not revolved, that would be weird, but evolved to create that response in us as well. I mean, there is a reason that, we find dogs and cats so cute. It's in the same way that we find babies cute, and they've evolved to make us want to take care of them in that way, right? So if you can get a picture of a person, especially if it's a nice close-up of a face, and it's holding a product or it's relating to a product, you're going to get much more instantaneous response. Now that doesn't mean that's the only image that you have to use in your email, but I'd love you to think about having like a really nice big, they call them hero images for a reason, in your email messages that are designed to create an emotional connection, and that you can then look at building on to actually get people to buy the products. The third tip that I have for you is to use the same link over and over again. So when we're putting emails together, you'll often use, and you should be using, a link within that message that relates to a call to action. There's two reasons for doing this. The one reason is to actually get people to do the thing. And the second reason is that it's going to tell you, if you get people clicking on that link, even if they don't complete the action, that they're actually interested in enough in that thing to click the link. And you can pull data, say from Constant Contact, that we will allow you to create a whole list. So if you have a special offer on, say, on mugs, and you want everybody, you can pull a list of everyone who clicked on that link, whether they ordered or not, and send them some follow-up information. Then that might just tip some of those people into buying now rather than later. So how does it work? Well, even in this email here that you can see that is very text heavy, they have used the same link twice. We skim read emails now. We do not sit and read them from start to finish in detail. And what I want you to think about is actually going beyond what's been done in this example where they have the same text link twice, but to put the same link behind your images that you're using, to put the same link into a button so that they really cannot miss taking that action. However they like to absorb the content that you're sharing, whether they just look at pictures or they just read headlines or they only look at the button. It's really, really powerful, and I want you to think about how you can best do that. And I've got a little extra snippety tip here for you as well. If you create emails where at the beginning it's got a personal note from, yourself or the CEO or the marketing manager, that might all be the same person, it doesn't matter. What you want to do is put your key call to action as a PS below that personal note. And I like to do that, make it bold, and probably put it in italics as well. So if you're promoting a special offer, you want the PS to say, we really think this is one offer that you can't afford to miss. Click here to learn more, or whatever. And you've got that link again in the PS. It's really, really valuable. There are a lot of people that will just skip straight to the PS because they know that that's where the big call to action is going to be. My tip number 4 is to use video. We already talked about how powerful images are. Videos are like that, but even more so. Here's a great example from Awesome Merchandise, who are a customer of ours, and they're a UK-based promotional products company. They actually do most of their own production on site, so they have UK factory centres in Leeds that they use. Now, what they've done here is they've created a video that shows people how their t-shirts are printed. This is really interesting because a lot of their customers have no idea, and there's all this sorts of behind the scenes stuff that you might think is really boring, but actually your customers would really like to know about, because we don't have a clue, you know, those of us that are buying these things. And it's quite a powerful thing to do because, again, we've evolved to respond not only to people but also to movement. Videos really help to create a connection and to tell a full story in a way that a single image can't. And here's the amazing thing. Emails with videos get a 300% higher conversion rate than emails without. I'm going to say that again because it's a huge number and it's true, and I want you to understand this. Emails with videos get a 300% higher conversion rate, not an open rate, a conversion rate, than emails without. And it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible understanding that story that you can tell through video is really awesome. And it doesn't have to be the world's best produced video either. It's fine to say, I'm here taking this video on my phone because I really wanted to show you whatever it is that you really wanted to show someone. It should definitely be part of your strategy. And then my 5th tip is to follow up quickly. This is really important. It's all about that timely follow-up. And also you can set up something like a follow-up sequence using our autoresponder functionality. So here's an example. This company sends out a follow-up message every time somebody orders from them. And it says thank you. It's got this picture of the team right there thanking them, and it's got a related offer in it as well. So you don't have to include an offer. Just saying thank you on its own is a good thing. It makes you appear more professional, so it's building your credibility. It makes people understand that you care more about them than just getting that first order in, and it makes them feel like actually they made a really good decision about buying from you, and they're more likely then to refer you on to their friends, maybe even before your products arrive with them. So those were my 5 initial tips. I've got some more information that I'm going to share, but I can see that we're getting a couple of questions. So Liz, would now be a good time to just have a look at what some of the questions are?
Sure. Well, I haven't checked it. I think that the couple of questions that came in, I think you then answered. But if
Oh,
anybody
okay.
does have any questions that they'd like to put to Tamsin right now, please feel free. Again, the question button is on the right-hand side of your screen. Tamsin, I would suggest we'll continue and then
Yeah,
we'll catch up with the questions at the end.
no problem at all. Just wanted to make sure that we're getting through stuff before we move on. Okay, so I have also a bonus tip for you. Now, this is about how people actually mentally process email. And there's these 3 words, now, later, or never, that I want you to sear into your brain, because if you can get to grips with this concept, it's really going to help you going forwards with the way that you're creating emails and making sure that you get a much better response from them. So what this means is that when people are looking at their inbox, especially like first thing in the morning, you know, and you've got quite a few emails in there that you know you need to deal with, they decide for each individual email whether they are going to read it now, later, or never. So they're going down the list and they're going, I'll deal with that now, I'll just get back to them really quickly. Oh, this one, I don't have time. I'm going to put that onto the later pile. And then this one's a never because, you know, I don't think they ever send me anything really interesting, or it's not relevant right now and I'm just going to delete it. So they're going down that list like that. Now, later, never, never, never. Now, later. And watch yourself. The next time you open your inbox, you will do exactly the same thing. Exactly the same thing. But here's the deal. You have to get people to take action now, because a later is just a well-intentioned never. We all do this. We all have stuff that we think, oh, I'm just going to put it in this folder and I'll go back to it later. And we don't do it. I do it myself. I tell people about this like 2 or 3 times a week, and I still do it myself, right? I don't just go and delete it. So there's 3 things that people look at that help them make this now, later, never decision. Number 1 is, who is it from? This is about, do they recognize the company? Do they recognize the person that's sending it to them? So, you know, when it's the first column that you normally see when your emails come in, or it's just above the subject line, depending on what sort of device you're reading on. And sometimes it'll just have their email address, sometimes it'll have the person's name or the company name. And that is the thing that actually has one of the most impacts on whether you're going to open it or not. But that's really easy to fix. What you do is you always send it from the same email address, and you send it from what I think of as a real email address. So don't send anything from sales at, from newsletters at, from heaven help you, no reply at, because all that tells your recipient is that you don't really care about them and that you don't want to hear from them. So I would say make it a real person. So I have the emails that go out from me, go out from Tamsin Fox Davis -- constant contact. So people, whether they know me or they know the company, it still resonates. They're still going to open it if they want to hear from me at that time. The second thing that people look at is the subject line. So what is this email about? And I've got some detailed information that I want to give you on how to create a great subject line, and I'm going to do that in a minute. The third thing that impacts whether they deal with it now, later, or never is when you send your communication. So this is something that we recommend that you test. Find the best day of the week and the best time to send, but that will vary depending on your specific audience. If you deal with more corporates, that's going to be very different from whether you deal with small businesses. If your audience is in one part of the country, it's going to vary to another part of the country. So the only way to figure that out is to test. But what I would recommend that you do is you split your list in half, and you send to the same email. It's got to be exactly the same email. You send to one half on one day, say at 10 a.m., say Tuesday at 10 a.m., and send to another half on Friday at 10 a.m. See which one gets the best response. Then when you've got that great day, the next time you send it out, send it on the Tuesday or the Friday, whichever one's better, and send it at 2 different times of day. And that combination will give you the best day and the best time to send. It's not very complicated. It just, it just takes a bit of time because you've got to do it and then you've got to see the results. So I told you I wanted to give you some more detail about creating great subject lines. And I want you to think outside the envelope with this. So the key is that you might have the most engaging, the most beautiful, the most brilliant, witty, downright, I have to take action on this email in the whole wide world. But if your subject line is no good, nobody's ever going to see that. Nobody's ever going to see it. So you have to make sure that your email gets opened, and it's your subject line that is going to do that for you. And there is a principle that I'm going to share with you. It's called the 2-2-2 principle. It's going to help you design perfect subject lines. Here's how it works. Remember that you only have 2 seconds to grab people's attention. So that means no fancy words, nothing that they have to look up, no text speak or something that is more complicated for the brain. 2 seconds to grab their attention. You've got to get right to the point in the subject line. I need to know why I have to open this email. The next 2 is for 2 words, because the first 2 words of your subject line are the most important. We read those first 2 words and then we decide whether we're going to read the rest of the subject line. Not open the email, but even bother to read the rest of the subject line. So you've got to make it count. You've got to put the main benefit right up front. It's going to grab my attention. It's going to force me to open it whether I like it or not, because it's just so damn good, right? And the third thing is that you have to get them to take action today. So where's the urgency? Where's the need? Where's the desire that I simply can't let sit for any length of time? I've got to take action right now. The key to remember here is that the only job of a subject line is to get your email opened. That's all it has to do. But this is the way that you're going to do it. Get their attention within 2 seconds. Put your 2 most important words up front so that I want to take action. And make sure that I want to take that action today. So the best way for me to illustrate this to you is to give you an example of a bad subject line. And a bad subject line is something like October newsletter, blah-de 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 blah, blah-de blah-de blah. And it really doesn't matter what comes after October newsletter. It doesn't matter because October newsletter, that's the first 2 words and they're hideous. I know it's October and I know it's a newsletter. That doesn't make me want to open it. That's like, so what, okay? So what would be much better is something like special offers, exclusive invitation, new designs. Those 2-word options are much more compelling. They're going to make me want to get interested right now. And I tell you, if you fail to figure out what you can actually put in your subject line, if you can't come up with anything that you think sounds hugely compelling, your backstop position should always be tell them what's in the email. And if that doesn't sound any good, you're probably not sending a good email, right? Maybe you shouldn't be contacting them at all right now until you have something worth saying. So whatever's in that email, that's the thing to put in your subject line, but make it sound exciting. The key here as well, though, is that your subject line must relate to what's in the email. I don't want to be kind of, falling into a trap or falling into a ploy. If your subject line has the words free chocolate at the beginning of it, if I open that email, I somehow want to be able to receive free chocolate. I'm going to be a very disappointed girl if I don't. Think about it that way, okay? So don't disappoint anyone once they open it. That just makes you look less credible. And make sure that you're really giving people something that makes them want to pay attention right now. So that's really my ultimate key. We've got those 5 key ways that you can cut through the noise. Remember that it's all about your audience, figuring out what they want. And then also that you've got to think outside the envelope. You have to actually make them open it. And then what's inside your email is going to have the best impact. So I hope you understand now why we wanted to talk a little bit at the beginning about the relationship between customer focus and constant contact, and how using the 2 things together can actually help you with your list segmentation, help you figure out those topics and those habits and those statuses of your customers so that you can give them the most appropriate information at the most appropriate time. Liz, did you have anything that you wanted to add on that?
No, not for my part, Amanda. Now's a good time if any of the attendees have any questions to speak up, and we do have some coming in.
Oh, great!
So I'm just going to pop this out, and we'll see what we've got. Okay, somebody's telling me that they got very short notice for the webinar. No, that was not deliberate. This is actually the 3rd message we've sent out about the webinar, and I'm sorry that got delivered to your inbox a little bit late, so I apologise for that, Richard.
Well, I tell you what, I'm really glad that he's here anyway.
Yeah, thank you so much for jumping on board.
Yeah,
we have recorded the whole webinar, so if anybody missed the first 5-10 minutes, we'll definitely get that over to you. So sorry if again, I apologise if you received the email with a little bit too short notice. But yeah, so in principle, basically so just to recap for the people who weren't available at the beginning, the customer focus opportunity here is for you to link your order management solution with the email marketing program, because what Constant Contact can't do, obviously, it doesn't know what these people have ordered. It doesn't know when they inquire or what they inquire about or necessarily where they are or what they do. Whereas your order management system does know all of these things. So if the 2 things are talking to each other, It makes everything Amanda described in terms of sending relevant content at a timely opportunity possible and easy. You could do all of these things a very long-winded way, and that's what Amanda was saying. You know, this is nothing she said today isn't possible for anybody to do using any platform, but it would take you considerably longer. So I don't think we have any more questions. We've got a few people coming in saying that they found the information useful, which is fantastic. Oh, beg pardon, I spoke too soon. Okay, so Carla has asked if there are any more examples of some killer two words. She'd love some more examples, which would be greatly appreciated if you have them.
Ooh. Now it depends on specifically, obviously, what the content is and what your objective is with the email that you're sending out. So firstly, for example, let's think about if you are going to be taking a stand at a trade show and you want to book in appointments to see people on your stand. You might want to say, like last appointments to get people thinking, oh, I need to make sure that I book in right now. And remember as well that you've got more than 2 words in your subject line. We recommend probably about 5 is a good number, just because they tend to get cut off on preview screens and that kind of thing. So you might have last appointments, visit us at the customer focus show, for example. So it really depends on what you're trying to achieve. So I'm just trying to think about what were some of the ones that I'd mentioned. Things like, latest offers, new designs, just in is a good one. Think about things that will help you create interest and suspense. And one way that I heard it described that I thought was very, very clever was to think like a tabloid newspaper. So tabloid newspaper headlines get brilliant results. They grab the interest, and if you ever look at the Daily Mail website, it is addictive clickbait. It truly, truly is. Think about, if you were publishing, if you were an editor of a newspaper, what would you say to really get people's attention? It's one of the best ways to look at it. Another great example actually to look at too is BuzzFeed. So you will probably have seen the BuzzFeed website, and in fact I listened to a podcast the other day where they were talking about how they would make their headlines go viral, and it's not hit or miss. I mean, these people, they live and die by getting people to click on the next article and the next article and the next article. And so they have measured, like, to the nth degree, does this word work better than this word? So I would look at your own behavior as well in terms of the kinds of things that you actually look at, and look at some of the people that do it really, really well. But it very much depends on what you're wanting to achieve right now.
Right, I think so. I think we're all set. If anybody, obviously, if anything occurs to anybody else, a few people who are customers of Customer Focus have asked how they can get the integration organised. We will reach out to you with instructions on how to get set up. But basically, it's customerfocus.com /constant contact, and that basically allows you to sign up for Constant Contact if you don't already have an account. And the team will obviously. Great, Tamsin has anticipated me. So this is how you would sign up for Constant Contact if you're an existing Customer Focus user. If you're not, I strongly suggest you check out Constant Contact. It's a brilliant email marketing program, regardless of whether you're integrating it with your order management program or not. So do check it out. And they give you this fantastic support. People like Tamsin are available to speak to you, and that's why Customer Focus was so keen to partner with a company like this.
Oh, thank you. Well, we hope that people get what they really need to out of us in terms of support and help, because that's something that's very, very important to us. Because I think, like with Customer Focus, you can have the best tools in the world, but if you've got no one to ask the questions that you need to have answered, there's only so much help it's going to be for you. So yeah, I think it's really important.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to thank everybody for the time today. Thank you so much, Tamsin. That was amazing. I've learned something, and I've been email marketing for the last 10 years, so that was enormously helpful for me, and I hope it was helpful for everybody on the presentation too. If you do have any questions after the event, do feel free to reach out to myself or Sarah Wilson, who is the webinar organizer, and we'll filter them through to Tamsin and get the answer back to you as quickly as we can. So
Yes,
thank you
sure.
again.
Happy to.
I don't know if you had anything else to mention, Tamsin.
No, that was it. Apart from the fact that we do have a third webinar coming up, I think, don't
We
we?
do.
Do we?
Yes, very good
Yeah,
point.
we do.
Yeah, a couple of weeks' time, we're doing a final webinar on basically what good looks like. So, how to benchmark yourself in the industry. So, you're sending these emails out, you think you're doing quite well, but what's good really look like? And giving you some examples of what good really, really looks like. So, you can be inspired and motivated to raise your game, or you may be that good already, in which case, massive pat on the back. But that's the final webinar. And everybody on the presentation today will send you out the link to register for that webinar as well, which will take place in 2 weeks' time. Perfect. Okay, so thank you again, everybody. Have a lovely afternoon if you're in the UK. Have a lovely rest of the day if you're in the US, and hopefully look forward to seeing you in the webinar in 2 weeks.